Welcome to Inside the Hive.tv podcast, the show that takes you into the world of bees. I'm Dr. Umberto Boncristiani. In today's episode, I speak with Dr. Kaira Wagoner and Phoebe Snyder, CEO and COO of Optera, a startup bringing an interesting innovation to the beekeeping industry. Optera recently launched its first product, UBeeO, a synthetic hormone system to improve honeybee selection for hygienic behavior, a trait that many beekeepers around the world are looking for. In this interview, we discuss the entire history of the company and celebrate the courage of these two brave entrepreneurs going against all the odds to help millions of honeybee colonies and thousands of beekeepers all over the world. I want to thank our Academy members for making this podcast possible. And now, I present to you Kaira and Phoebe from Optera. All right, Kaira, gonna start with you. We were together at UNCG. I'm very scared to ask how long ago. 10 years? 11 years?
Something like that, yeah.
You were you're finishing your master, entering your PhD, if I remember correctly. And I was in my postdoc.
2011, I started the PhD.
Yeah. And I left in 2012. So we spent a whole year, you in your first year as a PhD student at UNCG, University of North Carolina in Greensboro. And I was there. And I remember you day by day, every single day in that machine, is screening compounds. And I was always feeling bad for you. So, wow, that's a hard worker right there.
Well, it was either the machine or the Excel sheets. It was one.
Yes, one or another. Yes, you going back and forth, back and forth. And that was a fun project. You were so dedicated, so focused. And now after 10 years, 11 years, we have a product in the market. So how that feels? Can you tell a little history about how that things happened, and then how Phoebe get into this? And I want to know from you. I know a little bit because I followed you, but I don't think everybody knows the whole story.
Sure. Well, I'll start with now. It's just a really exciting point because I think it's actually 13 years now. Wow. Since I started that PhD and, was looking for these brood chemicals that were signaling, triggering hygiene, signaling stress. And so to be finally at the point where I have something tangible that I can give out, not just publications are great, but it's more than that now. It's something that I can get out to beekeepers and I think has the potential to be really useful to beekeepers and improving bee health. So it's really exciting for me. Even 2-3 years ago, I had really exciting results, but it was still everything coming from me. Now I'm starting to get results back from collaborators, and they seem just as excited as me. So that's really fun to be at that place. And so it all started with these kind of the end of my PhD. We found those compounds, and I remember we were at a lab cleanup day, and Phoebe and I were working, scraping hives like you have to do. And Olaf kind of somehow wrangled us together. And I think he kind of put the plug in, like, you have an innovation idea. Phoebe has kind of a business background. Why don't you guys talk a little bit? And then at lunch, Phoebe, I think you want to tell about the napkin.
Yeah, I think Olaf had said that all the best businesses get started on napkins. And so he wrote down the name of the grant that he applied for to start Optera, basically. And I'm super sentimental, and I kept it. I was like, something happened here today. So, yeah.
Where's the napkin? Wait, did you frame it?
Oh, it's on my fridge.
You need to frame it.
Fridge is keep it there in the morning.
I want to go back a little bit to give a little context to the people at home. So you guys just launched a company a couple weeks ago and came from an original idea. I want to know where the idea came from. That came from Olaf, or was a collaboration between the two of you? Where the idea came from?
Yeah, so I came to Olaf with my results. Olaf Ruppel was my PhD advisor. And so I came to him to show him my results, and he kind of looked at him and he looked at me and he said, I think we need to take this to the Office of Innovation and Commercialization because we might have something here. And I said, okay. So it kind of began with that. We ended up putting several patents together, writing the patents and getting those published. And that was kind of a whole new world to me, the side of entrepreneurship. And he said, "Oh, have you ever thought about starting a business?" And I was like, "No, I'm a scientist. I'm not gonna do that." But when we had that discussion, Phoebe and I, and we thought we would make a good match, and I think we really do. Our skills balance each other really well. We said, let's go for it. We actually wanted to apply for the grant to kind of help us get the funding we would need to get started. But we had to have a business to apply for the grant. So we were like, all right, well, let's start a business. It was kind of all on paper at that point, and we submitted the grant, and then we got it. And we were like, all right, well, here we go. And that's kind of when it really started, is when we got that the NSF grant, and we started doing all the research and developing the prototype, the applicator, all those things that we never would have been able to do without that funding support.
We have funding support. You have you guys with determination of to do something you never did before. Now that you did it, I want to ask you the following. How do you see the world? Do you see the world a little different from when you were more an academic only, and now that you need to face what I like to say some realities from the outside of that bubble? Do you see the things differently?
Yeah, I feel a lot more in touch with the beekeeping world. I think maybe Phoebe's always been more in touch with the beekeeping world, and had a good relationship with beekeepers through other avenues. But I was more in the academic side exclusively, and so yeah, I feel just part of the NSF program, the I-Corps program that we participated in, even before securing the bigger grant, we just had to cold call basically all these beekeepers and just talk to them. And I learned so much from that process. And I've learned a lot about business and entrepreneurship that, it's just a whole new world that it's open for me.
Phoebe, do you feel the same? Do you have any interesting stories or about that transitioning part? Because
Yeah, I think that part in particular was really hard because it was in the thick of the pandemic. And so, we were doing a lot of call, and I was in kind of a rough apartment situation. There had like people, kind of stomping around all the time, trying to do these calls with beekeepers, and bad internet connections. And, and also it was like, what are you trying to sell me kind of thing? Like, no, we're just trying to learn and, figure out, kind of what you're seeing and, based on what your experience is and kind of learn from that. So I kind of, I think I developed a little bit of a thicker skin in that part too. It was pretty difficult, yeah, trying to start a business and figuring out all that in the middle of the pandemic. But then kind of more as we went down that rabbit hole, you definitely the statement of learning what you there's just more and more of what you don't know, I guess. So the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And so yeah, now looking back on that all the way up to this point, I mean, it's made me a better beekeeper, and just being able to learn from all these different people at different scales. So it's been a really good experience.
wow, I completely forgot about that
The
because
pandemic part.
you guys did this whole shabang in the middle of a pandemic. So it's not only that it's already difficult, and if you see the statistic, a lot of people fail already, when you start new businesses and stuff, and you guys did in the middle of the pandemic. So
Yeah, and
points
Phoebe
for
and
you.
I hardly knew each other, going into this. We barely knew each other from the lab. I remember having Phoebe come over to my house once. I think we'd been working together, for like a year, and I was like, "Just come over to my house, like, let's have a drink together or something." And we met on my back patio with the masks and everything. But it was quite something. I mean, I think a lot of these, digital tools have advanced, in part because of the pandemic, which is nice. But it's not the same, and so it's nice to be able to have our weekly meetings now and face to face for sure.
Cool. Oh, very, really proud of you guys. It's a big achievement and need to be celebrated. And now you guys have a product. Let's talk about the product. I think the question that a lot of people ask me sometimes, it's just, what the heck is that product? What that do? You know, it's different. It's complete. It's innovation, like high level innovation. Nobody thought about those things before. This is completely new. People need to be educated about what can what they can do with that. What kind of return of investment they can get. Can we go over about all the ideas and how that works and how people can use it, so we can educate the people at home about this new innovation that is pretty cool?
Sure, I have some slides. Do you want me to share those?
Yes, please.
Maybe this can I just throw a couple slides together, really just to show what the UBeeO assay is and kind of where we've come. So feel free to interrupt and Phoebe add anything on as I go. But essentially what it is it's a mixture of pheromones we call the UBeeO chemicals. And those pheromones are naturally produced by unhealthy brood, and they trigger hygienic behavior. So the UBeeO assay is a way of measuring hygienic behavior and disease resistance, Varroa resistance in the colony. So the way it works is you take an applicator gun and you spray a small section of capped brood. You return the frame to the colony for 2 hours. And then after you pull it back out, all you have to do is quantify the number of cells that have been uncapped or removed in that 2-hour test time. So that's essentially all the assay is itself. And then, can you still see that?
Yes.
I've hit a hide button. Okay, great. So then the more exciting thing is what happens to the results. So that's when the beekeeper comes in and makes management decisions, breeding decisions based on that UBeeO assay result.
So if a beekeeper wants a colony, why a beekeeper wants a colony with more hygienic behavior? Because there is a strong correlation that more hygienic behavior, the colonies are healthier. They're able to eliminate more the diseases and the problems they have, especially brood diseases specifically. So when you give that to the beekeeper, what they can do with that?
Yeah, so it depends a lot on your goals as a beekeeper. So if you are a breeder, I think it's very clear what you can do here is you can identify your colonies that have this high hygienic trait, this high resistance to Varroa and viruses, even other diseases we've shown, and then you can breed from those colonies, and you can really produce a better queen for your customers that's going to live longer, have fewer Varroa, need less intervention from the beekeeper, all those nice things. And then I think you can also really use it for management, even in a small apiary. If you lose a queen, you can figure out which eggs should you be pulling, which colony should you be pulling eggs from to replace that queen, which of your colonies might need really close monitoring to know when to treat, and which of your colonies may not ever need treatment. So there's a lot of management, I think, decisions that can be made as well.
That's quite interesting. And I almost was when I opened a couple bee companies in the past, and I always have those experiences happening to me with cold calls to the beekeepers explaining what my product or services was, and they come up with something that I never thought before. Have you had that experience? The beekeepers come and set up, I'm gonna use this way, and it just like mind-blowing how they think about those things. Do you have something like that?
Phoebe, you want to take that one?
I was going to suggest you with what you were saying with the commercial beekeeper you talked with.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I spoke with a commercial beekeeper during those discovery calls with the NSF program. I had a beekeeper tell me, if I knew which of my colonies were really Varroa resistant, I would not have to bring them back to Texas with me, at the end of the honey flow and babysit them till almonds. I would just send them straight to almonds and kind of avoid that whole second transportation. And that blew my mind. It was just like learning new ways that our product could help people, that I hadn't even thought of. So that was really neat.
That's the fun part about new business and new products and services, I think, in my mind. Sometimes we start with an idea, and then now you can see there is a lot more value that you thought it would have, Can you imagine to save that gigantic amount of labor of the trip and gas and headache and everything? because you have a very reliable way to measure something that you are confident about. I love those stories. There is any other of those cold calls that come up with something that blowed your mind?
Oh, I'm sure. A lot of it feels like we've known it now because that was several years ago. But yeah, do you have any, Phoebe?
But I'm sure people at home might not, you guys are dealing with this in a daily basis. It did blow your mind before, but but people at home doesn't know those things. So that might be a good idea to expand people's minds.
Yeah, I think from the management perspective, I think we were originally thinking that, and I think it is a tool that can apply to beekeepers at every scale, and kind of where we thought that our kind of launch market was going to be within the commercial segment first. Then kind of as we kind of sampled around and talked with lots of different beekeepers too, kind of seeing the potential for it as a management tool, even though, as a breeding tool and as a management tool for smaller scale beekeepers. And I think I've been really encouraged and blown away by the kind of almost the next step of innovation that I've seen within beekeepers, where you're kind of using this tool to collaborate with each other and, swapping queens, high scoring queens, and, kind of making these breeder co-ops where, lots of kind of smaller scale beekeepers are getting together and, kind of pulling the resources together. And I'm pretty impressed with that. The striving for better genetics and mite resistance is pretty exciting.
This is the kind of thing that make me love America a lot. This environment that boil things and produce new things all the time. Which is a lot of people don't know. In other environments, it's pretty hard. I tried my whole life, and I just got here. Boom, I succeed. It's just an environment. So never forget that this place is special. Where are you going with this? Where you launch at the North America Honeybee Expo? How people received? So where are you guys now with the whole company and where we're going?
I can show you that launch if you want to see it.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Look at that.
Here's Phoebe.
If the people follow my channel, you already know we have a whole interview of Phoebe at the expo.
I'm smiling, but there was a lot of fear behind those eyes. Super intimidating. Yeah, it was really special though. And I can't believe that just the amount of support that I felt from everybody at the booth. I mean, there was a lot of people that came up, saw the banner, and were like, "What the heck are these uncapped cells?" And by the end of it, I kind of, my pitch needed a little bit of practice each time, but it got pretty good by the end. So there were a lot of people that came up to the booth that didn't know what it was, and a lot of people walked away and either bought a kit or were just really appreciative of that the work had come from the lab, and after developing it for a while, that actually materialized into something that could benefit them at some point. Yeah, it felt like it was packed the entire time, and I had a lot of people say, I wanted to come up and talk to you, but there was just like a horde of people there the whole time.
That was me.
Yeah.
I ignored the interview, and then I tried to go back to get some B-roll or have have other follow-up questions with you, and I couldn't. It was just packed, and then you need to do your business, and I said, okay, forget it.
Yeah, I basically didn't eat for 3 days. Bathroom breaks were not happening either.
Yeah, Phoebe deserves so much credit because it is really difficult to run a booth like that, and especially on your own. I have here's a picture of the van packed up to go. This is in my driveway, and this moment was like pretty tough for me actually, because I felt like, this thing that I was working on for so long was going to launch without me. But I had the crazy idea just to simplify my life by having a baby in the middle of this whole process. And so, I couldn't come to this conference, and Phoebe took the whole thing on herself, and she really nailed it. I mean, she did an incredible job and deserves a lot of credit for taking that huge responsibility on herself. I'm really glad that we were able to get everything ready in time and get her out there.
No, she definitely nailed. That was a good work. Everybody was all over her. She was delivering the message as a pro.
Yeah, this moment was crazy because it was throughout this whole time leading up to the conference, it was kind of like the Jaws movie where, they had to like show that the shark was there, but the shark really wasn't actually built until halfway through the movie. So, I'm like planning on hopefully having, enough to take there and actually have a real functioning booth. And, we kind of didn't really know up until a couple days before really what, the van rental was going to be worth it, if there were going to be kits in there or not. But yeah, our manufacturers really pulled through, and even they were really supportive. And, this is kind of, a lot of them are not really doing bee focused things, like our applicator manufacturer, for example. It's a livestock vaccinator gun, but it's not been used in the context of bees before. So we really got to give a shout out to our manufacturers too, for kind of taking on this really unique innovation in a way, and working with us and producing really cool product that looked nice at the booth.
Great.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of going backwards here, but this is my attic just a couple days before. I think this was like the first 50 kits that we put together. And so, this is, it's still a 2-person team. And, I think based on how the sales are going, we're going to need to scale that up pretty quickly, and may have an office and some other people working with us soon. But for this launch, it was in the attic, putting it together. You can see from the windows, it's nighttime, after bedtime, I would go up and like start packing kits together. So, it has been a pretty organic process, and it's really exciting to be at this point.
Based on what you just said, I can assume that things are going well then.
I think so.
That's good to go. That's very good to hear.
Yeah,
and
I think the challenge has been, for me, feeling like I'm pulled in a lot of directions right now. So we're getting, we have Canada really wanting some kits. We have Australia that had Varroa introduced a year and a half ago. And I've got a couple collaborators there that are really keen on getting kits. I've worked with some collaborators through the university in Europe, and people are pulling for us to get it to Europe. So it was really important to us to launch here first in the US and get the product out to beekeepers here. And now we're trying to make people happy in other places, and especially as the bee season approaches, get product there as soon as we can.
Beekeeping 101, we start your first product. So are you thinking about the second already?
Yeah, I've had some thoughts. I have an idea for a really inexpensive grooming assay. So I wrote a grant to see if I can try that out this summer. I have no idea if it'll work, but we'll see. I think hygiene is really great for all the mites that are in the brood cells, but it doesn't address the temporary time that they're on the adults, which grooming does. And if you can have a high grooming, high hygienic colony, you're getting the best of both worlds. So, I thought, why not see if I can develop something for grooming? So we'll see what we can do this summer, and maybe that'll be the next or a couple talks from now with you. We'll show you what we've come up with.
My dream is no chemicals in the hive ever again, or even outside the hive. But we're getting there. I hope we can go that direction. Every product that comes through me and have this slightly possibility to reduce even inch of pesticides used. I mean, because things is really crazy out there. Yeah. All right. What's next? So what's next for the company?
Hopefully scaling.
Scaling, go to Canada, go to other places. This is what's going to happen this year. That's the focus for this 2024?
2024, 2025. Yep. Hopefully we can scale. I think also as we just scale the purchase of raw materials, we hope to be able to bring the price down. So, when you're asking for small batches of things, the suppliers charge more. So as we scale up, we hope we can bring prices down. Really our goal with UBeeO is to improve honeybee health. That's the ultimate long-term goal. And I think we can do that. And the more people that get on board, especially around breeders, like a breeder can do a lot with UBeeO and their operation, but if they have, their neighbors' drones are also good, they're going to have more success. So we're also interested in kind of trying to work on community level involvement so that we can just get, a bigger impact faster in terms of improving honeybee health and reducing Varroa.
Okay, talking about community, I like the strategy, but I'm also concerned about how people are handling. Are they understanding the product, doing it right? They're having difficulties. It's a completely new approach, a new way of thinking, and I was wondering if people are having trouble using it, or having problem with the biology behind it to truly understand the potential and get the potential from your product.
I haven't seen a lot of that. I mean, of course, we just launched. We haven't seen the full bee season yet, but from the collaborators we've worked with so far, I haven't seen a lot of trouble. It's, our user manual's pretty thick, but that's because we're both biologists. So when we write methods, we write every detail on it. So there's a very detailed user guide, and we'll be coming out with some videos hopefully soon to give better updates and better ideas of how to perform each individual step of the process. But yeah, beekeepers know their stuff, and this is, just another tool in the toolbox for beekeepers.
That remind me, we have a conversation in the past to work on something together, for me to make some videos and some kind of video course or something like that. If you're listening at home, if you think that's interesting for you, please let us know in the comment section. If you would like to see a video guide, some sort of video guide, please let us know. Otherwise, we don't even bother.
Yeah, like how to use it and how the results can be used, maybe.
Yeah, the strategies, how to, how can you get the return of investment. There is a lot of ways to strategize using that product, depending on the different operations. So we were thinking that might be a good way to teach people with a small course or something like that. So if you're that interested, please let us know. All right, so excited. Thing is, I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen this year. Do you have predictions for 2024? And another question that I have for 2025, if you're going to be in Apimondia, I think it's Denmark or...
Yeah, it's Northern Europe. Yeah, we should talk about that. I think we had a discussion a while back about it, Phoebe, but it's been a while since we've had time to think that far in the future. Yeah, that would be great. We should put it on the calendar.
That's going to be a big one in Europe. You want to expand. I think the time to think about that is now. That gives you a lot of time to prepare for that. And that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, the last two Epimundias I've had, well, I think, what was before Brazil? There was one in Canada.
There was in Canada.
My son was born during the Epimundia, and then it was COVID, and then another son was born. So this one, I'm done.
Okay.
We can go to the next one.
So you missed Canada, Turkey, and Chile, and now we're going to Denmark.
Oh, it was Chile. That's right, not Brazil.
Yeah, Chile
you just invited me to Brazil, I think, after.
Yes, I did invite you after Chile to visit other parts of South America.
Yeah, so maybe the next one will make it. Predictions for 2024.
Yes.
It's going to be a busy year.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I think we're already exceeding maybe what we had planned already. I think, well, it was kind of hard coming into this year to figure out, kind of what our timeline was going to be. Originally, we were saying spring 2024 and, to kind of get our processes caught up and to really make sure we're prepared for when, people are actually going to be out in the field testing. We kind of bumped up our launch date a little sooner and, we are kind of building the plane as we fly it in a way too of, we also weren't really sure of when we were necessarily going to be launching in other countries. But, I think we're just kind of following where the energy's at. And, now that we've gotten the U.S. launch under our belt and, things are moving smoothly there, now we're moving on to the next thing and, hopefully Australia and Canada. And so we'll see.
But you already have what's more important is you have clients there asking, it's much different than sometimes other companies that are, the strategy is different, how to get into a market and nobody knows about you. Apparently you have already reversed where you have people asking for. So they're probably going to help you with all the regulatory processes and things like that, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that are tired of using chemicals in their hives and paying for it and dealing with the labor that's involved, and are hopeful for the future and what we may be able to do in terms of building resistance. So my hope is that this tool is something practical that's easy for beekeepers to use that can help them get there. And I think the excitement has just grown in the beekeeping community. As you know, we haven't done much marketing as a company. I'm used to giving talks as a scientist, and so that's just kind of what I've done. Is people invite me to their clubs to do a talk or to conferences, and I go and I tell them about my research, and I think that the excitement's just grown kind of organically from that. And we also have a couple things. Like Phoebe's put together a UBeeO testing group on Facebook, and I hope that people can use that kind of tool to share with each other their results and learn from each other. And, you know, like you said, beekeepers are innovative, and I think that what we're going to see is people coming up with new ways to use it and new ideas. And I think, you know, we want to support that as much as possible and let people come up with own ideas and strategies for using it and improving their own stock.
Fantastic. So all the information we are talking about here in this video will be in the link, in the description of this video. So don't worry to take notes right now. All the Facebook and all the links will be there. So just check it out over there. Do you guys mind if I open the floor for my Academy members if they have some questions?
Please.
All right. So that's the time. I have one here from Andrew. Question: what issues are you trying to solve with the product? For example, are there applicator safety issues with other hygienic testing methods?
So issues around like the goal of the product itself, or just like the goal of...
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. Andrew, if you can elaborate on that, that would be great. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yes, well, I'll tell you, I think when he says other hygienic testing methods, I know a lot of people in the past have used liquid nitrogen for free-scale brood.
Yeah.
So of course that is associated with safety issues. I think it's hard to get sometimes liquid nitrogen, but you have to be careful using it. UBeeO does have a solvent in it that you don't want to get into your eyes. You don't want to get it on your hands. So there are safety precautions you need to use. It's a very volatile compound, so it evaporates really quickly. So it doesn't actually stay in the hive. It's evaporating within about 20 seconds of applying it to the frame. But we have safety instructions in the manual that need to be followed carefully.
He also complimented here. Why is it better? I think, why is it better than the liquid nitrogen?
What? So we ran a 3-year study where we compared essentially the ability of liquid nitrogen free-scale brood and UBeeO to predict Varroa resistance, overwintering survival, and we found UBeeO is just a better predictor. So colonies that scored high on UBeeO had significantly lower mite levels. We've also since seen lower virus levels. We saw that to some extent with the colonies that scored high on free-scale brood. But the separation just wasn't as straightforward. They're correlated, so we found UBeeO is positively correlated with freeze-kill brood with the Harbo method. So if you score high on one test, you're more likely to score high on the other test as well. But they're not exactly the same. Any difference in selection method is going to give you a slightly different result. And so I think when we compare freeze-kill brood and UBeeO, we just see a slightly better predictive ability. Well, about double, so substantially better predictive ability of Varroa resistance.
All right. We have a mention from Maureen here that I think she wants our video. So training videos are always easier for teaching how to use a product. So, okay, we keep listening. I think we're going to do some videos then.
All right.
All right.
Let's do it.
If nobody has any other questions, I want to say, Kaira, Phoebe, thank you so much for your time coming here and also for the hard work and the innovations that you guys are bringing to the market. I'm very proud of you guys, and I'm looking forward to see this just expanding and just helping as much beekeepers out there as possible.
Thank you so much, Umberto. Thank you for having us on Inside the Hive TV and for all the excellent content you put on here. It's fantastic. I've learned so much from watching your podcasts. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for supporting us along the way too.
Oh yeah, that was my pleasure.
A long time coming.
Yeah, my pleasure. And you guys can count on me. Looking forward to. If you need promotion, just send me what's going on, and we can think on something.
Yeah, when we have updates, we'll let you know, and you can tell us anytime. We'll be back anytime.
Thank you. All right. So, with that in mind, I'll see you guys in the next week inside the Hive.tv, the show about bees. See you guys soon.